Hello, I'm Catherine, and in today's video I'm going to show you how I made this double-sided Cyanotype print. It's something I did by accident once and then realised there was potential for this. So I'm going to take you through the stages, and then in my next video I'm going to show you how I made it into this beautiful 3-compartment box made from that one single sheet of paper. Just to add that I have Cyanotype kits on my website which are on a special offer for this month. And I'm doing a giveaway, so if you wait till the end, I'll give you details of that. When I was making cyanotypes in Italy recently, which you can see in my last video, I put a piece of fabric out and exposed some plant material, just like I'm doing here. But unfortunately, it blew away, the fabric, plant and all. So I turned it over and started again. But when I rinsed it out, I realised that both sides actually had prints on them. So it made me think that I could do this in a more deliberate way. So this is what I'm doing here today. And the reason I want to do this particularly is because for this project I needed a double-sided piece of paper because I'm going to make it into a one-sheet box. And here's a sneaky preview of it, and I'm going to show in my next video exactly how I made it. But so I've already treated the paper in my garage, and I'll put a video here. It's quite hard to film because I have to do it in subdued light, but I did do it once in my studio with the blind down, so you can see how I did it. The Cyanotype solution is made of 2 parts of iron compounds. One of them is ferric ammonium citrate and the other one is potassium ferrocyanide. And they sound quite scary, but they're not poisonous or anything, but you do have to be quite careful when you're using them. So if you don't want to, you can always buy one of my kits where it's already done for you. And I've painted it on both sides. What you find sometimes is that it does soak through to the other side. I often put fabric on top of paper so that I don't waste any. And one side has probably got a little bit more than the other. You can see that there are a few sort of streaks on this piece here. But I sometimes deliberately leave it like that because you get a sort of broken up effect on the print, and I quite like that. But I've put it out in the sun when it's really strong, and I think you can see, even as we're looking at it, that it is changing colour. When you first apply the solution, it's a sort of bluey-greeny kind of colour. Sometimes it even looks a bit browny. But as soon as it gets exposed to the UV rays, it starts reacting. And it's turning, I think you can see now already, it's turning paler and it's going a bit greyer. And on a really strong sunny day, it really only takes a few minutes for the reaction to occur. And because I try to avoid what happened when I was in Italy, I have actually pinned these fern leaves down to the piece of paper. You might be able to just see that I've got a piece of polystyrene underneath that came with some packaging. And because this is quite a large piece, I didn't have a large enough piece of glass or perspex to weigh down the plant material, so I've used pins. And I wanted to say that if you are going to use pins, make sure that you use not ones with the sort of bobbly heads, but ones with the smallest heads possible, because otherwise the round shape of that head can leave a shadow on your print, unless you want to use that as part of your design. So I use the very small ones and I angle them in, partly because my polystyrene isn't very thick, but also again so that I'm losing the pin head and I'm not going to get a shadow from that. And I decided with this print that I wanted one side to be quite organic, why I've chosen these fern leaves. And I love these particular ones. I can't remember the name of it offhand, but it's got this beautiful sort of lacy effect. And then on the other side, you'll see that in a minute, I'm using some transparencies, because what you're doing, you're creating photograms. It's a bit like when you take your watch off if you've been on holiday and you can see a sort of faint outline. It's just the sun creating this picture on any exposed area. It just works very well with fern because they have such a lot of detail. You can see there's a little bit of movement and some of the leaves are fluttering a bit. I don't mind that. I don't mind if it's not a super crisp image in this case. Sometimes having that little bit of movement can really sort of add to the dynamism. And sometimes I deliberately put pieces on and don't pin them down so there is more movement. Another thing you can do, I didn't do it in this case, but what you can do is when the print has been exposed for a time already, you can add some other pieces and you're going to get, they won't be as white as the original shielded places, but there'll be a sort of light blue, so you get a variation in tone. I'll drop a picture in here so you can see what I mean. And then because I was going to, what I'd normally do is take the print into the shade, take the leaves off and then rinse it. But now I'm going to take it away and I'm going to flip it over and start my second cyanotype. So as I say, I'm using some transparencies and I'm using a mixture of some of the ones that I made for my Italian book, and I'll refer you again to that video, and some that I've had for a while, the butterfly ones. You can get one of these transparencies in my kit, and it's good because you can put anything onto a transparency and then that can become your photogram. I did make a bit of a mistake. I don't know why. I thought the weight of the transparencies was enough that they wouldn't. I mean, it wasn't very windy, but there was a bit of a breeze. But I thought they'd be okay. But I am watching carefully close by, and you'll see in a minute that I had a bit of a problem with them blowing away. Yes, just a little gust of wind came along and blew them. You can see it has started exposing slightly, but because it's a sort of square piece, it was quite easy to line it up. So even if it wasn't exactly in the very same place, I knew I'd still get some kind of mark out of it. But I knew there was a bit of a risk that I might have stuffed this up and I'd have to have started again or just have used it as a one-sided one. And then what I did do, I did get some of my pins and see, it kept happening. I got my pins and I did actually pin it down. Again, being quite careful to angle the pins in. I think I had a little bit of a problem getting them through. One or two places I've doubled up the transparencies and it was thicker than I thought to get the pins through. But anyway, I did manage to get them pinned down. And one thing I decided, because I'd had this slight cock up, I thought I would leave it longer than I did with the other side, just to make sure that I was definitely getting a good exposure time for these prints. And because of that, although with the first example I showed you, I kept it exactly in real time so you could see. This time I am going to speed it up because it would be a bit too boring for you just to watch this for several minutes. But I think you can see that there's a little bit more solution on this side. Although you can see those areas that on the reverse were completely white, you can see on this side there is a little bit of solution. It's just not as dark as the surrounding areas. But even now, I think you can see that it's doing that transition of turning from the greeny kind of colour to this sort of grey. And what you do find when you leave it for a long time, and as I say, I kept it extra long, it almost turns a sort of bronzy colour as well. And then you'll see that in the final result, you'll see that this side actually looks a bit more of a dark blue than the other side. So I took it out of the sun, took the pins off, took the transparencies off, and then rinsed it out. It was a bit difficult to film this because it was a large piece. So here's some footage of me rinsing some other pieces. And as you rinse it, you can see it's already creating that beautiful Prussian blue. And the interesting thing is that it will carry on developing that blue because as it oxidizes with the air around it. And you'll find that even over about 24 hours, the colours will get bluer and bluer. So here is the piece, and I'm really pleased. You can see this side is slightly more blue, but it's picked up that details and doesn't seem to have suffered too much from my problem at the beginning. So this is available on my website for £15 this month, and you get 2 pieces of paper this size. They won't look like this because they haven't been exposed yet, so they come in a light excluding envelope, and you also get a transparency so you can do that butterfly print, or you can have a blank one to print out your own design. And you also get a 4-page booklet, and you can also get this separately as a download if you want to have a go at applying the chemicals yourself. Plus there's a QR code that takes you to a tutorial and demonstration of the kit. If you want to enter my giveaway for one of my Cyanotype kits, just make sure you're subscribed and put a comment below either saying what you'd like to make with your Cyanotype kit, or if you don't want to, just put the word blue or a blue heart and I'll enter you into the raffle for it. And in the meantime, I've got some other videos about Cyanotypes, so I'll link those below.